Giriraj Madhav Prabhu
Yeah, from Hyderabad.
from Hyderabad. You're moving around a lot. I'm flying from Bhubaneswar to Delhi on the Giriraj Madhav Prabhu. Okay, let's go ahead and start then. Let's turn this thing on. Gora Graganya Gana Go to Golodu Haram. Goranga Guditama Gopyata Kolpa Briksham. Gopala Gada Ratidam Yati Singha Gora Govinda Deshi Kavaram Satatam Namami Uttama Adama Kichuna Bachila Jachiya Dile Kakola Kahe Premananda Hemona Gauranga Hridoya Dadiya Bola Bhaja Gauranga Kaha Gauranga Laha Gaurangira Namare Jai Jana Gauranga Bhaje Se Hoyamara Pranare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Yashaiva Padambuja Bhakti Labhya, Prema-bhakti-candrika Padama Pumarta, Tasmai Jaganmangala Mangalaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Madgavyarapi Gopala Sri Kriyat Kripaya Judi Tadaiva Sambhaya Pitva Rishayustat Priya Janaha Shri Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Sasanatana Rupaka Gopala Raghunathapta Brajabala Vapahimam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Krishna Namamrita Bhai Shri Bhaktra Chandra Prabhadvastatamo Baraya Gauranga Deva Anucharaya Namo Namah Shila Narotomaya. Again and again, I offer my obeisances unto Srila Narottam Das Thakur. He's a true follower of Lord Gauranga Dev, the nectarian shower of the holy name radiating from the moon of his mouth destroys the darkness of ignorance. So I'm sorry we haven't had a session so much recently. We've been traveling with parikramas and things. And I'm not sure what's going to happen next either. Probably be easier. We're going to go to Brudge next, what is that? Next week. We're going to go on the 17th, next Monday. And I'll be attending the Govardhan retreat, which starts on the 19th. I'm sure I can get away probably get away. I can't promise on the 20th. I'm planning on it anyway. So let's look at our previous verse. We're starting a new chapter now, the 8th chapter, which is Nishta Bhakti, a description of being fixed in devotion. Our previous chapter was Akantika Bhakti Ritti, or the characteristics of a devotee whose devotion is unalloyed or one-pointed. And we finished that chapter, that section, with the 8th verse there, 8th stanza. Let's put that on the board. It's a beautiful verse about the glories and importance of the devotees. Narottama Dasa Kohe, Narottam Das Thakur said, Sadamura Pranadahe. Narottam Das Thakur says that my mind is burning constantly. Hena Bhakta Sangha Napaya. Where can I get association with devotees? Abhyagera nahi or micha jahoi labor. He says that I have the limit of my abhagya, my misfortune. There's no limit to that. I have this false conception that I think everything is okay, but in actuality, dukkha rahi antare jagiya, my heart is always full of distress. So then in this next session, Narottam Das Thakur section, he begins to speak about the glories of Vrindavan. So in this section, he's going to speak about the importance of being fixed in bhakti and what that means. And the foundation of that is a place. Everything is based on a place. A lot of times devotees don't really think about that, but it's important. I've had the fortune or misfortune of traveling in many places all over the world and visiting devotees and giving classes. And I can tell you that, just for example, the divorce rate in whatever country it is, the situation amongst the devotees is basically the same as the country. In India, it's, I don't know, maybe 5% or less or something, very little, maybe more than that, I don't know, but very little. Whereas in places like Russia or America, it's over 50%. And amongst the devotees, it's the same thing. I've been to places, I won't say names, where the government is very, very heavy and they spy on the devotees. And oftentimes the devotees have the same kind of mood. They're spying and watching everybody. We're very much affected. And this is an important thing for us to think about. It's one reason I'm looking at the beautiful face of Madhupati Prabhu. And it reminds me of a place called New Brajadam and the importance of that. We have this New Brajadam, we have New Vrindavan in America, we have New Mayapur in France. What is the necessity of creating such places? Is it just something like Disneyland, and people go there and they have some fantasy of Mickey Mouse and they're riding on rides and something for their pleasure? Perhaps that's the perception of some persons, but that's not Srila Prabhupada's desire when he in his description of the purposes of ISKCON. One of those purposes was to establish a place of pastimes of Krishna, to establish Vrindavan, much as the six Goswami, or the Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, I should say, Rupa and Sanatana Goswami did in Ramakeli in North Bengal. They established a Radhakund and a Shamakund and a Govardhan Hill and so many different things because they wanted to establish that, because we want to live in that place. We don't, because we're affected by that. We're affected by the divorce rate of the outside people. We're affected by the mood of the country and the people around us. So we want to live in Vrindavan. And if we can't live there always, maybe we're doing preaching or something. In many places now in the world, devotees are going out on the street full time and they're doing book distribution and things, but their hearts and minds should be, or their aspiration at least should be in Vrindavan. And if there's no place that we live in that's like Vrindavan, then it's just some fantasy, some strange thing in the mind. So we have to establish such a place. And it's probably, I wasn't thinking to get into this time. I like to speak a little spontaneous. I also have some things prepared, but I think spontaneity is very important because Guru and Krishna will speak through us, and we should always be ready for that. In Hawaii, Srila Prabhupada spoke about how one of the purposes of this movement is to establish Vrindavan villages. And again, that's not just to make a theme park. I know one devotee who they want some devotees who left ISKCON and they want to make like a theme park thing, and they have some roller coasters and this and that, and there's an Agasura demon, and maybe you have a ride to the tunnel of the Agasura demon and this and that. And I'm not necessarily against that personally. Whatever reminds people of Krishna, that's good. But as a disciple, aspiring disciple of my Guru Maharaj and my Param Gurudev Srila Prabhupada, have to follow in their footsteps and their mood. And sometimes we have, it is a controversy now amongst some devotees because here in India, they're having this, I don't know, remember what they call it, but it's kind of like a Hare Krishna, or they call it, it's like a mantra disco, and people come together and they chant and they take some prasadam and there's incense and they do some worship and things, and it's like a disco, boys and girls, and they dress up and they stay up late and they have this social thing like that. And understandably, there's a number of devotees who are against that. um, and then some other devotees say, but, we're getting them to chant Hare Krishna. And really, it's kind of a complicated issue, isn't it? Which is right and which is wrong. The way that I reconcile both is that we don't want to stop anybody from chanting Hare Krishna. If it's for a disco, if it's whatever, if they have a nude beach and they're all taking LSD and whatever, but they want to chant Hare Krishna, we don't want to come in and say, no, no, you're not allowed to chant Hare Krishna. You have to put clothes on first. And you can't take drugs or anything. We don't want to say that. We want everybody to chant Hare Krishna. But in our movement, we don't advocate taking drugs and having nude beaches. That's not our program. We want to follow as disciples of our guru, but not everybody's going to be a disciple. So we can reconcile both things in that way. And so Vrindavan Dham may be manifested in different ways to different people. And for some people, it's even for some initiated devotees, honestly, it's kind of like a vacation place that you go to and it's fun and there's some entertainment there and da da da. And again, is that wrong? Is that bad? It's better than going to Disney World or something like that, certainly. But is that what Srila Prabhupada wanted to give? What Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to give? What Narottam Das Thakur is talking about? So let's look at today's verse, which speaks about the importance of Vrindavan as a foundation. Vachanera agochara. Agochara means something that there's no limit to it. It's beyond any limit. Vachanera agochara, it's beyond words. Vrindavan and Leela Stala, this Vrindavan Dham is beyond words. Suprakasha Premananda Ghana. It's a self-manifested, condensed form of prem. Ghana means condensed, or here it's translated as intense. Jahate Prakata Suk. Here in this place, it manifests happiness. And nahi jara mrityu duk. In that place, there's no old age, there's no death, there's no unhappiness. Krishna Lila Rasa Anukshar. Rather, there's always Krishna Bhakti Ras. And it's translated Sri Vrindavan, the place of the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, is indescribable. It is self-manifest and full of ecstatic love. Happiness is eternally present there. It is devoid of the miseries of old age and death. The pastimes of Krishna are constantly performed there. Someone made some, oh, Mantra Lounge. Thank you, Gary. Yeah, I was going to mention about that too. I didn't want to get off onto that subject. But, in Russia, they've been doing this for a long time. And you have devotees like our friend Krishna Kun, remind me of his name, uh, the doctor there. Is Krishna
In
Kun?
Vrindavan
No, in Russia.
or in Russia? Udayadan Prabhu.
Udayadam. Yeah, thank you. I know. I can't live without Krishna Kun. So Udayadam Prabhu, he gives these programs, and he's like a famous doctor, at least in certain places in Europe and in Russia. And they get a few thousand people come, and it's not about Krishna. It's just about the mode of goodness and about relationships and about community, nothing about Krishna. Maybe something a little Vedic kind of thing. And it goes on for a few days. He does these seminars and things. He's a very good speaker. And from that, he's made something like 80% of the devotees in Russia, thousands of devotees. And we visited his place. These are not devotees who are smoking marijuana and or dressing strange. These are like Dodi, Sari, Tilak, Kunti Mala, four regulated principles, 16 rounds devotees, and they came from that kind of thing. And similarly, in Russia, they also have a kind of Hare Krishna disco thing. And it's not something that I would encourage any of our brahmachari friends to go to unless they're going there to preach. We devotees in America, we used to go to rainbow gatherings. And rainbow gatherings, I don't know, probably about 20 to 40% of the people don't wear any clothes. And it's not real easy for brahmacharis in such a place. Although it's not, the atmosphere is not like violent or real heavy like it is sometimes in the West, but still it's not a place for Brahmin, but they make so many devotees. And Radhanath Maharaj and many devotees have gone there for many years. So, but that's not the way we conduct our movement. So I just wanted to comment on that because I saw it was an issue with some persons. So anyway, uh, let's go to Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur's commentary on this verse. As we've often mentioned, Vishwanath wrote, seeing how important this Prema-bhakti-candrika is, he wrote a Sanskrit commentary on Prema-bhakti-candrika, which is kind of a short commentary, which also shows you the respect that he has for the original text of Narottam Das Thakur, that he felt it wasn't necessary most of the time to add or say anything. So on this particular verse here, he comments, Sri Vrindavanam Visanasti, Vachaner Agochara Ityadina, Vachaner Agochara Anivachaniyam Nivaktam Asakyam Ityartaha. Mostly you can see in the Sanskrit here, he's speaking about this phrase, Vachaner Gochara, which he cites directly twice and indirectly a third time. He says that he's describing Vrindavan, saying Vachanera Gochara, that when it's not possible to fully describe a place, then Vachanera Gochara is used. So that's Narottam Das Thakur's commentary on it. And I want to speak today something about the nature of Vrindavan and why it's so important to us. Uh, uh, and some of the qualities of Vrindavan Dham. So I was going to go back a little bit on our previous session and just look something. Let me just review very briefly. In our previous session, again, we spoke about the importance of sadhu sangha with devotees. We quoted this verse, which appears twice in the Bhagavatam, once in the first canto, once in the fourth canto, which is spoken by second and fourth canto by the Prachetas. uh, when Lord Vishnu offered them a benediction, he said, "Hey guys, you done good. What do you want?" And they replied to him, Tuliyama Lavena Pina Swagam na Punarbhavam Bhagavat Sangi Sangasha Martyanam Kimutasisa, that we don't want anything. Tuliyama Lavena, we see equally Swarga, Apavarga, the liberation, the heavenly planets, the hellish planets. It doesn't matter to us. The thing that we want is Bhagavat Sangi Sangasha. We don't care about liberation, Martinam Kimushasi, so we can stay here. But what we really want is association with devotees. And Narottam Das Thakur, his humility was arising at that time. He's realizing, oh, I said this thing, but I don't have qualification for this. And therefore he said that my heart's always burning because Heno Bhakta Sangha Napaya, I didn't get association with such devotees. And we spoke some things I had conversation I had with my Guru Maharaj. Let me go ahead and post that up here again. It's something which really struck me at the time, and I oftentimes speak on. This is from right after a Bhagavatam class here in Bhubaneswar on the 30th of March of 1994. Guru Maharaj is speaking about sadhu sangha, and I had this question. The Guru Maharaj, sometimes you say it in Kali Yuga, there's no such thing as sadhana city, but only Kripa city, Siddha. So I understand that to some extent, but then some can be asked, and what's the purpose of doing sadhana? And Guru Maharaj replied, we still have to perform sadhana. Why? Guru instructs us to perform certain practices. You must obey and do them, but we're not dependent on them. We're completely dependent on mercy. What sadhana can we do in Kali Yuga? And he indicated our God brother Purushottam Tirtha Prabhu. After all these years, what has he achieved? He's got nothing but troubles. Have you achieved anything? Nothing. I, Purushottam Tirtha is a very nice devotee, but Guru Maharaj is indicating all of us. So what sadhana are we talking about? What can you really achieve by your own efforts? Guru says so we do it, but we're not dependent on it. We're completely dependent on mercy, kripa. And we spoke some things from the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam, wherein Jiva Goswami explains that even if there's a conflict between service to Guru and our bhajan, then we do service to Guru, and that I know it's a big subject matter, but I could give a lot of examples of that from Gaudiya Math, how Srila Bhaktisiddhanta stressed that devotees should chant 1 lakh a day, but even during the time of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, first of all, the vast majority of grihastas were initiated into chanting 4 rounds a day. That was a common number. There was no fixed number in general. 4 was the most common thing, and that's what Bhaktivinoda speaks about in Harinam Chintamani. He says we should work our way up to 1 lakh a day and more. But the idea was, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said that everyone should chant 1 lakh a day. But it was accepted that if someone was doing service always, that was considered to be the same as chanting. And while they were doing that service, they should be chanting also. And there's a number of stories and things like that. We also spoke something from the Chaitanya Chandamrita. It was a verse that my Guru Maharaj used to often quote in regards to the importance of sadhu sangha. Let's just look at that real briefly here and finish our review from last session. How Acharya Dharmam Paricharya Vishnum Vicharya Tirtani Vicharya Vedam. That Acharya Dharmam we may follow some Vanashram Dharma. Paricharya Vishnum, we may offer opulent worship to Lord Vishnu. Vicharya Tirtani, we may visit so many holy places. Vicharya Vedan, we may study the Vedas and get so much Vedic knowledge. Vinanagora Priyapada Sevam. But if we don't worship and take shelter of and serve Agora Priyajana, dear devotee of Mahaprabhu, Vedadi Dusprapya Padam Vedanti, we can't enter into Vrindavan. So, in effect, Narottam Das Thakur is indicating a similar thing, finishing this 8th chapter with the importance of sadhu sangha, and then speaking about the Dham. Because it's only by having sadhu sangha that we can come to the Dham, that we can begin to enter into it. And we should understand, we hear from Srinath Chakravarti Thakur in his commentary on the Bhagavatam, where he says, Rajo Bhagavan Bhaje Satanayas Tadhama Brindavanam, that of all the abodes of the Lord, the abode of Brindavan is the topmost abode. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Matamidam Tatradaranapada. This is the opinion of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and nothing else. So that's his Mangalacharana for his commentary on the Bhagavatam, who begins by stating, this is our focus, this is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's conclusion is. And it's such an important thing. This is what Narottam Das Thakur is stressing with us, the importance of understanding the position of Vrindavan, the supreme position of Vrindavan Dham. Again, we have to live somewhere. And sometimes we're a little lazy and I'm dovetailing Prabhu. I'm dovetailing this thing and I'm living in this place we like. And we live in a way that we like with our opulence and things. And that's just natural. Even a lot of times our sannyasis also do like that. Once someone was in a mood of criticism of that, and they said something to my Guru Maharaj, and he said, oh, Guru Maharaj, yes, but they have so much opulence and things. And Guru Maharaj cut him off. Huh? He said, no, that opulence is not the same as that of a materialistic person or materialistic grihasta. Don't think like that. They may have a nice computer, a nice place. Srila Prabhupada had so many places to live, but he was accepting that for service. As long as the devotees have a mood of doing service and being in Vrindavan, then it's a different thing. Why don't you sit up there?
You sleep there.
Everybody can sit and look now at a Neil Prabhu, right? Yeah, see, there's a Neil right there. I'm going to embarrass you. You don't want to sit in the chair. You should sit in the chair. Come on. He just came from the Jagannath Mandir, so we're taking his feet and putting them on our head. And by touching his feet, and we get the blessings of visiting Vrindavan. So let's go to Vrindavan now. What's so special about Vrindavan? Okay, so I want to just go through a bunch of different statements. The first, several times we'll be visiting the Gautamiya Tantra, which is one of our most quoted literatures. This verse is quoted by Jiva Goswami's commentary in Brahma Samhita. Idam Vrindavanam Ramyam Mamadamai Vakebalam Attaye Pasavo Pakshi. You want to sit next to me?
You take rest there.
What's that?
You take rest there.
But you're going to be in the camera.
Yeah, it's okay.
I thought you didn't like being in the camera.
It's okay though.
Vrindavanam Ramya Mama Dhamma Eva Kevalam. He said that this Vrindavan Dham, Mama Daiva, this is my abode. Kevalam, completely, this is my place. It's Ramyam, it's a very, very sweet place. Ataye Pasavo Pakshi Brikshakita Naramara, that everyone who lives in this Dham, and it's not saying just anyone who's born there, but those persons, the pasava, the pakhi, the brikya, the kita. Kita means the insects and worms and things. The animals, the pashus, the pakshi, the birds, the briksha, the bulls, all these different personalities, all of them, when they die, mrityanti mamalayam, they go to my abode. So special is the land of Vrindavan Dham. So Vrindavan, again, though, it's not just a physical proximity, not just a physical place. Again, my grandma, he used to say that Kamsa is a Brijvasi. Kamsa is born in Mathura, so Mathura is part of Braj. Putana is a Brijvasi. She's also born in Braj. But no, they're not. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur has nicely revealed this in his Navadvip Mahatmya, where he describes very elaborately, and I think we've gone over that in some previous sessions. I'm not going to go there today, but how Krishna's energy of Prodamaya covers the Dham, so that effectively someone might be on top of the Dham, but they're not actually in the Dham. So Vrindavan is such a place. Vrindavan is a beautiful place. But what is the beauty of Vrindavan? In Los Angeles in 1971, in one lecture, Srila Prabhupada explained, he said, there, all the inhabitants of Vrindavan were thinking, we're all Krishnas. The central point is Krishna. That is the beauty of Vrindavan. All the inhabitants of Vrindavan, the elderly cowherd men, the boys, the girls, the trees, the river, the birds, the beasts, everyone, they're all simply thinking, I'm Krishna's. This is Krishna consciousness. And as soon as we think otherwise, I'm Indian, I'm American, I'm this, I'm that, that is material consciousness. Just to touch on that a little bit, because it's an important thing, I think, for us to understand. Sometimes we have problems because we have this identity, we have an upadi, we say that sarvupadi vinir muktam taparatveena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhakti uchate, that uttam bhakti begins when we don't have any upadis, any designations, any identities. But then we have this big time identity. I am an ISKCON devotee. And oh, you belong to something else. I don't like you. And you're initiated. And Neil's not initiated. Not good. We have that kind of attitude. But that's not what Prabhupada is indicating here. The attitude of Vrindavan is so wonderful that in Vrindavan, everybody, they have their Sthayi bhav. Sthayi bhav means their fixed mood toward the Lord. And the birds, they think our mood is the best. and they can't relate to the mood of the cows or Krishna's dogs. He has a few dogs. They can't relate to it, and the gopis, they can't relate exactly to Mother Yashoda. But everybody appreciates everyone else's love. And in effect, they're observers, and they're so absorbed in their own love, they're just happy with everyone else. And that should be our mood. At the same time, in our mood, we understand that as disciples of and grand disciples of Srila Prabhupada, as disciples, we have a certain responsibility to behave as disciples and to conduct our society in a certain way. Huh? So this is Vrindavan. In the Bhavishya Purana is not my favorite Purana, to tell you the truth. Although there's verses which are sometimes quoted by our acharyas about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and other things. The reason I'm not so thrilled with Bhavishya Purana is for two reasons. One of which is that it's famous as the most interpolated of practically all the Sanskrit literatures of India because of Bhavishya Purana. It's a Purana which gives some uh, predictions. And there's many things about Kali Yuga and what's going to happen. There's predictions therein which speak about Prophet Muhammad and Christ and so many things. But the problem is that it's been heavily interpolated, and practically every king who came along would hire some scribes. Hey, put my name in there also. And so it's very, very difficult to ascertain which is the original Bhavishya Purana and which is not. Anyway, there's an interesting story in the Bhavishya Purana. That's one reason I'm not so crazy about the book. The second reason is it's a little like the Brahma-vaivarta Purana, for those of you who are well read, or a little bit like the Garga Samhita, in that it describes Braj Leela, but it describes it in a mood of opulence and knowledge and so many things like that. So anyway, but that's done for a certain audience. So there's a story it tells there how Radha and Krishna were doing penance for 1,000 years. And that's the first thing which doesn't make me so thrilled because Krishna doesn't do penance in Vrindavan. He's too busy with the gopis. But the Bhavishya Purana describes it, and it doesn't mean that it's wrong. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that within the Vaikuntha planets is also a place called Golok, where Lakshmi Narayan are worshipped as Radha Krishna, but they're worshipped in an opulent kind of way. And sometimes these literatures, like Brahma-vaivarta Purana, Bhavishya Purana, others, give these opulent descriptions to attract people who are attracted by Aishvarya and power and fighting and things like that. So it described that for 1,000 years they did penance, and then this effulgence started coming from their bodies, and from that effulgence, all of Brajmandala was produced. There's 21 energies that came from different parts of their bodies. There were 10 energies from the Panchakarmendriya, the Panchagyanendriya, the five working senses, and the five knowledge acquiring senses, right? Those 10 energies from the senses, the working senses means the sense of touch, the sense of the legs, like that. The knowledge acquiring senses, excuse me, is the sense of touch, the sense of taste, the eyes, the ears, nose, and the working senses are the hands and the legs and like that. So from those 10 energies were they became the 10 villages: Gokul, Barsana, Nandagam, Bandira, Mathura, Braj, Jamuna, Manya, Shreyaska, don't ask me what that was, and Gopika. Some of the names given in the Puranas are a little different than today. And from the Panchatanmatras, there were 10 energies born from the Panchatanmatras and the Panchabodhikas, and those became the 10 forests of Vrindavan, Gopavan, Bahulavan, Madhusringa, Kunjavan, Dadivan, Rahavan, Kridavan, Venuvan, and Padmavan. And then, from the minds of Radha and Krishna, Manasa Prakita Jato, Girir Govardhano Mahan, Dibyam Brindavanam Dristva, Paramanandam Apasaha. From this energy which is coming from their minds, Giriraj Govardhan appeared. And when Giriraj Govardhan, Dibhyam Brindavanyam Dristva, when he saw the divinity of Braj Mandala, Paramanandam Pisaha, Giriraj became very, very ecstatic. So Narottam Thakur, he's describing here Vachanera Gochara, Vrindavana Henostal, that Vrindavan can't be described by words. So this is explained in many different literatures we can understand from different Puranas and different Vedic literatures. Let's take a look at a few. The Gopal Tapani Upanishad describes Sakshat Brahma Gopala Purihiti, excuse me. That Krishna city, Gopal city, Brajadam, it's transcendent Brahma itself, Sakshat, directly, transcendental place. In the Varaha Purana, there's a long description about the glories of Vrindavan Dham. And in there it said, Anyaiva kachit sasristir vidatu vyatirekina. That Lord Brahma has created everything in this universe. But Mathura, Nyaya kachit sasrista, srishti means to create. He's created everything in the but Vidatu is Vida is a name for Lord Brahma. Vidatu Vyatirekina. This Braj, Mathura, it's beyond his creation. It's something different. And he can't understand that. Although he's Lord Brahma, he's the creator of the universe. Again, in the Adi Viraha Purana, it's described about the glories of Braj. Let's see here. Bhurabhuva Swas, for those of you who don't know, he's indicating the Gayatri mantra here also. Bhurabhuva Swas Tilinapi Nat Patala Tale Malam Nordvaloke Muya Dristam Tadrik Chaitram Vasundare. Lord Varaha speaking to Dharani Devi, the earth goddess. Dharani Devi is that personality who's holding up everybody. She's Dharani Devi. And he says, Oh, Basundari, my beautiful spouse, I've never seen any place like Mathura, not Bur, Bhuvan, Swa, not in the different planetary systems, Bur, Bhuvan, Swa, not anywhere in hell, not anywhere in heaven. Lord Varaha, the Supreme Lord, is saying that I've not seen any place like this. So again, in the Patalakanda of the Padma Purana, it's described there how Braj, Vrindavan, is transcendental, but it's invisible to material eyes. Tejamayam idam ramyam. It's Tejamayam. It's a place which has so much potency, or it's a very effulgent place, very radiant place. It's ramyam. It's a very beautiful place. But adrishyam charma chakshusha. It's invisible to gross eyes. Now, we've spoke about this quite a lot in some different sessions in the past also. There's different visions we may have of Vrindavan, and we see that most people who come to Braj, they just see the external thing, and they say, oh, there's a bad smell. And the people are very angry. We come to Jagannath Puri, and we think, somebody says, what is Puri like? Oh, the Pandits are so bad there. They're really obnoxious and they just want money like anything. And you can't deny that. That's correct, but it's correct from one particular perspective. And is that the perspective that we want? We want to see, at least by Shastra Chakshus, by the vision of Shastra, and ultimately we want to see with our hearts, and we want to have a divine vision of things. So Vrindavan Dham is such a special place. If we don't appreciate Vrindavan, then we're not going to be able to enter into the higher realms of bhakti. And this is described by Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati, who is a bit of a madman. In his Vrindavan Mahimamrita, in the 17th chapter, he says, Swananda Satchidgana Rupata Matir, Yavana Vrindavana Vasi Jantusu, Tava Pravishtopi Natatta Vindate, Tato Paradhat Padavim Parat Param. Yadaiva Satchid Rasa Rupa Budhir, Vrindavanastastir jangameshu shanirvya likam purishastadaiva chakashti radha priyasevi rupa. If we want to become dear to Radharani, and if we want to have a form, develop a roop where we can do Radha Seva, then we have to avoid offenses in Vrindavan. And he's describing here that as long as we have this attitude that we see some of the residents of Vrindavan, maybe we see some of the sadhus, oh, they're really good. They're very, very nice. But those goddamn monkeys, they're so bad. Or the dogs, and they're just like passing stool everywhere. It's so disgusting. And these ants, they drive me crazy. I put some prasadam out and they come and they attack it. And be careful. Sadhu sabadam. Be very careful. When if we don't see Swananda Satchid Gana Rupa Tamatir, if we don't see that all the residents of Vrindavan have Satchidananda Rup, their forms are eternity full of knowledge and bliss, then we won't be able to attain that position of being a Radha Sevi, a maidservant of Srimati Radharani, a Manjari, which Prabodhananda Saraswati goes at length to describe as the purpose of entering into Vrindavan, that's our desire. So we have to be very, very careful. I see when we go, especially it's visible more for me, I think, when we go on Govardhan Parikrama. Somewhat, if you when you go on Vrindavan Parikrama, the problem with Vrindavan Parikrama, it's you can't really see as easily the persons who are doing parikrama around it because it's just crowded everywhere. And some of them are doing parikrama, some of them are local people, some of them are tourists, and there's so many different moods. But when you go to Giriraj, especially in certain places, it's all yatris. And you see the mood, especially of the local people and those pious persons who understand the culture of Braj. That's why their mood, you'll see there's so many different uh, carts set up in different places selling bananas and different things because they want to serve all the Brijbasis. And they get piles of coins and they give to all the beggars because we don't know who those beggars are. We don't know who that mosquito is. We don't know who that dog is, who that monkey is, but we're sure of one thing. That monkey is a great soul, a very great personality. Bhakti Shiv Damodar Maharaj told me once about a monkey. They have the Gopal Mandir at Radhakund. And I had the good fortune of going there with Fakir Mohan Prabhu, and we had a nice session sitting down with Bhakti Shubdamana Maharaj and Fakir Mohan Prabhu. And Bhakti Shubdamana Maharaj was telling us how there was a dog, a local dog. When the devotees used to do kirtan, the dog would come and offer obeisances. The dog would offer obeisances to the kirtan, and it would also offer obeisances to sannyasis and sadhus, and everyone had the understanding that this dog is not an ordinary dog. Probably he was maybe he's a GBC or something, I don't know. He was some special personality who made some mistake in his previous life, and he took birth as a dog. But he's not an ordinary dog. So such an important thing. Our favorite mad person, Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati, has described in one of my the most delightful verses, I think, in his Vrindavan Mahimamrita. He glorifies Vrindavan as follows: Vrindaranye varam samkrimirapi paramona chidananda deho ranko pisham atuya paramihana paratrad bhutananta bhuti sunyo pishamiha shihari bhajana Levinati tu charta matre, lubdho nanyatra, gopi jana ramana padambo jadiksha suke pi. He says, I would rather live in Vrindavan, even if I have to be an insect, even if I have to be a worm and stool. I'd rather live in Vrindavan than Paramono Chidananda Deho, than to have the body of a liberated soul in a spiritual body. I'd rather live in Vrindavan, even if I'm a beggar, just begging, on the road, I have nothing, than to reside in any other place, atulyam padam, where I have unlimited wealth. I'd rather live in Vrindavan. Sunyo pishami ha, even if I don't have any devotion to Krishna. I'd rather live in Vrindavan even if I don't have any devotion to Krishna. Look at the Brijbasis. Sometimes it's a little hard to see. Some of them, most of them are very devoted to Krishna. They love Krishna. But some of them, it can be a little hard.
Gundas.
Yeah, there's gundas there too. Here in Puri, there's gundas. Sometimes we say, you're worshiping Krishna Bhagavan or you're worshiping Paisa Bhagavan. And we can see who they're worshiping by what it is that they want the most. And he's saying, I'd rather live in Vrindavan, even if I don't have any devotion, than to be anywhere else with the mood of the gopis. Lubdo Nanyata Gopi Jana Ramana Padamboja Diksha Suke Pi. With the happiness of serving the lotus feet of Krishna, the lover of the gopis. I'd rather be in Vrindavan with no bhakti than to be anywhere else. This is the declaration of Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur. Krishna, he says in Bhagavad Gita, Vyavasayatmika buddhi ekeha kuru nandana. You had to be one pointed on this. This is Prabodhananda Saraswati. Vrindavan Dham is so special. Prabodhananda Saraswati, that verse we just read is from the second chapter, second Sataka. In the 14th Sataka, this beautiful poem of Vrindavan Himamrita, which really is one of the classic literatures in Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Some of these things may be a little high or a little hard for us to understand, but just try to appreciate the spirit of it. He says in the 14th chapter, he gives some indication of how special Vrindavan Dham is. Kuti pranar esha nirajaniya kante kante yuk akwalanye swag bagbi Radha Krishno manyate vad yadiyam kanchid bhavam nomi brindativam tam. He says that Radha and Krishna, they're worshiping Vrindavan. And Krishna is telling Radharani, my beloved, let's multiply, let's benefit our lives millions of times over by offering artik to Vrindavan. Let me glorify Vrindavan. This is a desire of Krishna. And in his Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Srila Sanatana Goswami, he says that some people think that the Brijbasis are overcome with love for Krishna. He says, but it's just the other way around. Krishna's overwhelmed with love for the Brijbasis. And this is why in the beginning we were hearing from Srila Prabhupada that we want to create this Vrindavan. And Vrindavan is that place where everyone is in love with Krishna. And because there's so much love there, Krishna knows and loves everyone. Radharani knows and loves everyone. There's a beautiful prayer, the Vishakananda Dabida Stotram. It's that prayer which gives Ananda to Vishaka. It's written one of the compositions of Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. And he describes the attitude of Srimati Radharani to Vrindavan. Gyata Vrindata Vi Sarva Latta Taru Mrigadvija Tadiya Sakya Sorabhya Surabhikritamanasa. That Radharani, she knows every leaf, every vine, every plant, every tree, all the animals, even the rascal monkeys who steal glasses and bead bags and things. She knows all the puckies, all the birds, all the different creatures of Vrindavan. And her heart, is Surabhikrita Manasa, her heart, her consciousness, her mind, the fragrance, Sarabhya Surabhikrita Manasa, is always scented with the fragrance of their friendship. This is Vrindavan. If it's a place which has a connection with Srimati Radharani. It's a place of love. And Krishna is just overwhelmed with that. So Prabhupada described that we should all want to create Vrindavan. I was mentioning this talk that he gave in Hawaii, but there's another talk that he gave in Vrindavan. This is part of one of his uh, talks on nectar devotion in 1972. Really one of the best and most amazing series of talks Prabhupada gave. So Prabhupada was saying there, we must be inquisitive, we must be eager. That eagerness has to be aroused. Where is Krishna Katha? Let me go there. Let me hear. This is exactly what my Guru Maharaj used to speak so many times. Krishna Katha, when me go mad, I'll run for Krishna Katha. And Prabhupada says, in this Vrindavan, you'll find there are many places they're hearing about Krishna. So either Vrindavan or anywhere else, wherever Krishna is being spoken about, Krishna is heard, that is Vrindavan. Not that Vrindavan is limited with a certain space. Vrindavan is transcendental. Tatratistami narada yetta gayanti mad bhakta. Krishna says, I stay where my pure devotees chant about me. Yetta gayanti mad bhakta. So if you become a pure devotee, and if you chant this Hare Krishna mantra, you can create Vrindavan anywhere, in any part of the world. It's not that you have to come here. Prabhupada's giving this lecture at the Radha Damodar temple next to Rupa Goswami's Samadhi. It's not that you have to come here. That's all right. You came here because it's established Vrindavan. When Krishna comes here, whenever he comes on this planet, he comes here. There's so many devotees. Certainly there's a meaning, there's importance of this Dham. But still, if it's not possible to come here, you can create Vrindavan anywhere, provided you're a pure devotee and you're chanting the Hare Krishna mantra without any offense. But that doesn't mean that we should be lazy and say, oh, I'm not a pure devotee. I'm chanting with offense. No, we should just try to create Vrindavan. And it may be a partial manifestation of Vrindavan, whatever it may be. But we want to establish Vrindavan wherever we're at. Uh, and that Vrindavan Dham is the most special, wonderful place. Another one of my favorite verses from our Transcendental Madman, Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati. This is from the second Sataka, second chapter of his Vrindavan Mahimamrita. Let's see if we can look at this. Bratar Bhoga Subukta Kaihana bhavatanapi samsara madhye vidyadhana dvaradrai kati kati jagati kyati pujat alabdaha ajaharepi yadrichika urugunavan apyaho sambritatma Srimad Brindabanesmin satatamata sakki sarvato mukta sangaha Bratar Bhoga Subhukta, my dear brother. Many times our acharyas will comment on this many times. When they say something really heavy, they put their arm around you and they say, my dear brother. And then you feel, oh, he loves me. And then they say something really strong. Why are you eating prasadam in the bathroom? Why are you doing this or that? And there's some little chastisement or big chastisement. And he says, Bhoga Subhukta. What kind of enjoyment have you already had in this samsara madhya, in this world of birth and death? You've had so much fame, vidya. You've had so much knowledge here, so much scholarship. You've given charity. You've done all these amazing things. He said, just now, just forget about all that, and just wander about in Vrindavan without knowing where you're going to go, and just accept whatever food comes on its own. Just look to see the good qualities in everyone. Don't look at their faults. Don't push yourself forward. And he says, just remain obscure and unknown and continually wander without any companion in the beautiful forest of Vrindavan. Such a beautiful verse. Oftentimes, recently in Europe, in Hungary, we gave some session in Hungary and also in Lithuania on Prabhupada's Vrindavani Bhajan. And one of the main themes that we see in that song is loneliness and being alone in the middle of the crowd. And here, Prabodhananda Saraswati is putting it in a very beautiful way that this is our purpose. You may have people all around you, but just be in Vrindavan, be in Vrindavan consciousness, and just wander about without any companion. You're all alone in Vrindavan. You're not all alone. There's so many Brijbasis there. Be with the Brijbasis. But in the material world, you're not with anyone because those persons can't understand Vrindavan. Don't push yourself forward. Don't try to be a big person. Don't see bad things in people. Just see good things in everyone. That's being in Vrindavan, and just wander about it. And probably you're going to die. Maybe you'll die in one of the forests of Vrindavan, and maybe the jackals will come and eat your body, and then nobody knows what happened to you. And maybe someone comes, a few months or weeks after, and they find your bones, and there's something in the paper, unidentified body. And we feel so sad if we hear that. Oh, that's so bad. I want to have, when I die, I want them to have 1,000 people come to my program, and for 1 week they all cry and they talk about what a great person I was and this and that. But Prabodhananda Saraswati says that's not Vrindavan. So there's a beautiful song I'd like to finish with. This is a Brijbasi song, and please forgive me. I'm not a Brijbasi and I can't sing it so well, but I'm going to try. You know the song?
No, but I can see it's Braj Bhash.
It's a really nice song. Radhe mohi vajako banayaye banayo muranachun tatatai. So that Radharani, please make me into one of the groves of Vrindavan. And so there in Vrindavan, Nachun Tatatai, I can dance and I can dance. Make me into a peacock in Vrindavan. Chahi moi kum kum ko bandara banai banayo. Make me into a monkey. I want to become a monkey in Vrindavan. Let me become a monkey in Nidhuvan. And just picking to the song a little here and there, he says, Yata says, Shahimuje kunjana ki latabhanayo. Please make me into one of the latas, one of the creepers in Vrindavan. Even maybe that's too much to ask for. So Shahimuje kankadya patarabhanayo. Please let me just become a pebble. Maybe let me become a blade of grass in Vrindavan. That's all that I want. That's my desire. Because Vrindavan is that place where we just want to serve Radha and Krishna. We just want to give pleasure to Krishna. And Radharani is the queen of Vrindavan. We can't enter there without her blessing. So the song goes on, Gokula ko banayaiva, banayaiva dharo, nachum tat tatai. Nachum tat tatai is kind of the chorus always. Let me dance, make me into a calf in Gokul. Chahe gungaru banayaiva, chahe payula banaya. Make me into an ankle bell. Just so I'm ringing when I dance. And make me mad with your own rasa. Ki pagalabhanaya. Pagal means to be mad. Aparehi rasa ka pagalabhanaya. Because mine to bhamjo prema ki dora nachun ta tatai. Because I'm bound up with this love and I just want to dance and dance. So this is the movement of the Hare Krishnas too. We want to dance and dance, and we want to establish this Vrindavan. And in that Vrindavan, let me become a monkey. Let me become a pebble, a stone on the ground. Let me become a blade of grass. Let me become a creeper, whatever. Let me, I would rather, as Prabodhananda Saraswati says, I would rather have that position than to be a liberated soul, even a personality who's serving the gopis somewhere else. I'd rather be in Vrindavan with no devotion and just be a plant or be a rock. Some very, very humble thing. So important is Vrindavan. And this Vrindavan we want to establish. And looking back at the verse we were speaking on a little few moments ago, Prabodhananda Saraswati, what does it mean to be in Vrindavan? It means that we give up everything. We're not going to Vrindavan to try to get money, to try to find a husband, to try to find a wife, to try to become famous, to do some YouTube videos, which I'll get a million hits because I say the most amazing things about Vrindavan, to get some scholarship, to give some charity, to do some sacrifices and things, to go to MVT restaurant and have a good time eating nice food. We just go to Vrindavan. And the mood of Vrindavan means that everything is for Krishna's pleasure. And that he says that alabda adya ahare, that whatever food comes on its own, api richika, we accept that. Whatever food comes on, that's Vrindavan. Not that we're, and it doesn't mean that we should fast. It doesn't mean that, though sometimes we do fast when we go to Vrindavan. When we do, I did Brajamandala Parikrama once with a sannyasi friend of mine from Gaudiya Math, and we did it on foot with no place to stay, with no sleeping bags, with no food, with no money. And we just walked and we would just beg from the bridge bosses. Of course, that was over 30 years ago. And in those days, there was no onions. And now, a lot of onions. There's a lot of chilies, though.
Yeah.
I'll say that. But and you just and sometimes they give you beautiful braj rotis and some sabji, and other times they may chastise you and tell you to go away, and you just accept that. That's Vrindavan. Vrindavan means that place where we gunanavan api aho sambrita, we hide whatever good qualities that we have, and we don't see anything bad in anyone else. We just see good qualities in everyone. That's Vrindavan. And as we were mentioning in the beginning, all the residents of Vrindavan, they have their sthayi bhav, they have their particular mood. And the monkeys think being a monkey in Vrindavan is the best thing there is. And they can't relate to the dogs. But the dogs are thinking, who would want to be anything other than a dog in Vrindavan? And the cowherd boys are thinking, who would want to be anything but a cowherd boy? And Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj are thinking, it's so wonderful to have Krishna as our son. How could we want anything else? And the gopis, they're thinking that their mood is so most wonderful. So they're all akantic, they're all fixed like that in their mood toward Krishna, but at the same time, they also have love for everyone else, for the dogs and for the monkeys and for the insects and for all the creatures of Vrindavan. Such a very, very special place. And Narottam Das Thakur now in this 8th chapter, he's speaking about what is bhakti nishta, what does it mean to be nishta in bhakti. And the first thing is that there's a foundation. If you're going to be nishta, if you're going to be fixed, where are you fixed? And we want to be fixed in Vrindavan. And as I mentioned in the beginning, it affects us. If you go and you live in Delhi, in the big city, you become affected by the passion and the money desires there and the lust and anger and things that go on in Delhi. And if you're living in the countryside, you become affected by that. If you're living in the Dham, you become affected by that mood. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada says, we want to establish Vrindavan everywhere. And this is why Sridhar Maharaj developed this new Brajadam in Hungary. This is why Srila Prabhupada developed New Mayapur, New Vrindavan in France and America, respectively. This is why Rupa and Sanatana Goswamis and Rama Kelly established their Vrindavan there. And we want especially to establish this in our heart. And as Prabhupada said in that one quote we were reading, that Vrindavan is not a physical place, but it's a question of the heart. And this is our purpose. We want not just to get everybody to chant Hare Krishna in this world. That's nice. That would be pretty ecstatic. But more than just that, we want to establish Vrindavan in this world. Chanting Hare Krishna is necessary, and it's our goal. It's so necessary. But at the same time, we want to chant Hare Krishna in a mood of Vrindavan, not in a mood of Kurukshetra, meaning during the battle of Kurukshetra, there's war and things. That's not the kind of mood we want to establish Vrindavan everywhere. So I want to read our verse from the day again. We said that, and we'll go ahead and stop. Vachanera Gochara, Vrindavana Leela Stala, Saprakasha Premananda Gana, Jahate Prakata Suk, Nahi Jara Mrityu Duk, Krishna Leela Rasa Anukshana. Vrindavan is the place of the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. It's indescribable. Vachanera Gochara. It's an indescribable place. Vrindavan Dham is self-manifest. So again, we want to manifest Vrindavan, but we can't. It's just like someone asks you to lead kirtan, you think, I am going to lead the most ecstatic kirtan, and I'm going to play this Ayendra tune, and I'm going to play the harmonium, and I've got this great mridanga player, and I'm going to orchestrate this whole musical thing. That's not kirtan. Kirtan means that you serve the holy name, and when you get in a very meditative frame of mind with the holy name, then the holy name manifests itself. And you may be a terrible singer and a terrible musician, but if you're calling out to Krishna and you're crying, then the holy name will manifest. The holy name is self-manifest. Vrindavan Dham is self-manifest. Vrindavan Dham is full of ecstatic love. It's a place where Srimati Radharani knows the name of every plant, every creeper, every squirrel, every mouse, every insect, every cow, every monkey. And happiness, Narottam says, is eternally present there. There's no old age, miseries, death, and disease and things. And the pastimes of Krishna are constantly performed there. So I'm going to go ahead and stop there. Went later than I was expecting. Are there any questions or comments from anybody? Any discussion? We have a number of devotees who are just coming for the first time, this first session. Thank you all very much. You're just doing that. It's nice to have so many devotees here. Our purpose, these are not exactly classes, but really what we want to do, we want to live this. And living this means that we want to make a community. Community means common unity. And that unity is there, not in that we're all hearing from a teacher and we're studying something, but we're trying to have something come to our hearts. And when we come together as a sangha, and then anga, we become part of the same anga, they become like part of our own bodies. Uh, and that happens by hearing Krishna Katha together. We all come on the same page. And I can see Krishna Kun is bubbling. She has a comment. Am I correct? Yes, Krishna Kun? No?
Well, I actually had a question and I could have a comment, but before I make any comments at all, I wanted to just introduce Bhakti Bear to everybody here. Beata in the red. It's the first time that she joined us, and I just wanted to ask all the devotees that you please bless her, that she attains pure devotional service and make Vrindavan her eternal residence.
We met her a few years ago in New Brajadam when we were giving some talks, and they sat through, I don't know, they sat with us for an hour or two or something, and
Oh, 6 hours.
6 hours.
I never forgot it. So I also wanted to make a quick comment, and then I have a question. Lila Purushottam Prabhu, is it okay? Or are you burning?
You're going to get angry with Krishna Kun, Leela, if she goes on? We can't hear you, Purushottam Prabhu. We can't hear you. So you're out
Okay,
voting.
I should just go on because we can't hear him. I just wanted to mention when I was living in Mayapur, just before we got married, we had a famous dog there. He came for prasadam every day at a particular time, and he never came on Ekadasi. And I mean, really, he never came on Ekadasi. So it was really kind of, I just thought it's a good addition to
Yeah,
the.
Vrindavan's such a special place that really the animals there are truly loved and appreciated. Especially the dogs like this dog I mentioned at Radhakund, they're just worshipable. So appreciated.
Now I have a very humble question. Humble because it makes me humble just to think about my fallen position in this regard. But I am actually kind of struggling not with the concept of wandering in Vrindavan on my own, not with the concept at all, but about my ability to reach that stage in this lifetime.
Well,
Even, okay.
we were speaking recently at Siddha, and we were asked by Indra Maharaj to speak about the mood of the Gambhira. And we spoke about living alone in the crowd and about loneliness, the subject which I mentioned a few minutes ago. And as we developed that, looking at it from different perspectives, we came to the obvious conclusion, actually, that this loneliness is an inevitable and necessary aspect of bhakti. It's inevitable because we're living with non-devotees in this world. It's a world of non-devotees, and they don't understand what we're doing. They think we're crazy. Even maybe our wife or our husband, sometimes they're not a devotee and they just don't understand. Mhm. And at the same time, we have to be detached from them. We want to go to Krishna. And so there's a kind of loneliness there. And then we further developed that according to some different philosophers, and how worse than that loneliness is when you're misunderstood. It's one thing when you feel like you're alone and nobody is there who understands you, but when they misunderstand you, then that's so crushing. And especially if they're people that you're supposed to love, especially sometimes even they may be devotees. They may be devotees. You're living in the society of devotees and they don't understand you. And that's just so crushing. And you've come to them, and they misunderstand you and they chastise you. Why you're like this or that, or you're greedy, you're wanting money, and that's not your mood at all. That's so humbling. Madhupati, I'm going to come to you. I know it should turn on your, yeah, it turned on mine. Should have turned on your hand signal. I don't know why it didn't do it with mine, with yours. Anyway, that's required. But at the same time, if in that situation of being misunderstood, we hold on to our conviction, and this is how we become devotees, because necessarily you're not going to be understood in this material world. You're not going to be appreciated. You're going to feel lonely. And not only will you feel lonely, you'll feel the pain of being misunderstood and abused. But in that situation, you have a choice. You can surrender. Well, I'm just going to go along with the crowd and do what everybody else wants so that I can be accepted. And then it means you cannot be a transcendentalist. We have to go beyond this material world. But if you hold on to your convictions, even though you're abused, even though they crucify you on the cross, even though they abuse you like anything, I'm going to come back, Krishna Kun. Then if you hold on to that conviction, then you become strong. So in answer to your question, Krishna Kun, I think it's necessary. And living alone doesn't necessarily mean that I'm being distracted by Goni Taipu's comment. Um, doesn't necessarily mean that we're not around physically around other persons, or it doesn't mean that we're not around devotees in our society. But we have to be Swajati Yasha Snigdha Sadhu Sangha Satovari. Rupa Goswami says in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, we have to be with like-minded devotees. And with other devotees, we smile and we nod our head and we say the right things. And even with non-devotees, we may say kind of mundane things, how, yeah, the politics are like this or that, this thing or that thing. But we don't care about that. But we don't really show our heart to the other person. And that's what, to me, what it means, but Prabodhananda Saraswati's meaning by wandering alone. Sorry, it's a long answer to your question, Kun. You had something else you wanted to clarify? And I see a number of hands going up, and Gwani Taipu also had a comment. Go ahead.
I think that my question was a little different, or with a different emphasis, not so much about
Maybe I didn't understand anything. Go on.
being misunderstood by non-devotees or even by devotees. Sometimes we have a different mood. But I mean, understanding a little bit about Srila Prabhupada's emphasis and understanding a little bit about my own psychophysical nature, is this something that we want to endeavor for, right? I mean, maybe not necessarily right now, but in the course of this lifetime. I am asking this because I actually thought about this quite a lot already, about wandering in Vrindavan. And you know that I spent some time there at Kusum Sarovara. I had the opportunity to kind of be on my own a little bit in Vrindavan from time to time. And of course there is Rasa Khan, and there are so many stories of saints who were spending their time there. But I actually don't see myself, and maybe this is my problem and my anarthas and my lack of introspection and being able to connect with my Gurudevas and the Holy Name internally. For sure, those things are there. But I'm even questioning whether this is something that we want to endeavor for in this life. That's really my question.
Kick something. It's we want to endeavor, but how do we apply our endeavor? That's the question.
Mhm.
And some persons who are what we would call bahirmukh jhanas, or external persons, they'll apply that endeavor in an external way. Well, they just, I don't want to be around anybody. I just don't like all of you. I hate all of you. I'm not going to be around you at all. But that in that situation, you're not really truly being alone, because alone means we want to be with Guru. We want to
Yeah.
be with Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada wanted to establish a society. So we want to cooperate with that society. And I oftentimes give the example of Jagannath Puri and how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was cooperating with organized religion in the form of the Jagannath Mandir, but he had a place, a lonely place with just Srup Damodar and Roy Ramananda in the Gambhira. And we need a similar thing. But your question is, as I understand it, is how do we cultivate that? Do we push for that? Yes and no. Yes, we do that internally. We have to go very, very deep internally. And externally, we still have to live in this world. And we smile and we get along with people, pay our bills. We're nice to our husband or wife. We tolerate them even if they're not so perfect and whatever. And the devotees around us. But we're always looking internally. And as Gorni Tai Prabhu pointed out in his comment to weave that in with yours. He said that does it mean living alone? Does it mean with a true friend? We always want to have association. And Srila Prabhupada, there's one lecture he gave in London, and he quoted Bhaktivinoda Thakur's prayers of the Vaishnavas, Ekaki Amar Nahi Payabala Harinama Sankirtan. On my own, I have no strength. So I want association, but what's the association I want? To do kirtan. So I want people who are not critical, who are not on the mundane platform, just talking about mundane things or wanting mundane things, and just want to talk about Krishna. And that's the best friend. And therefore, as we were speaking in our previous session, the Prachetas, they pray, Tuliyama Lavena Pina Swagam Na Pumarva. I don't want anything else. Bhagavat Bhakti Sangasya. All that I want is association with the devotees, but I want like-minded association. I want association which is based on bhakti. There may be many things in our society. There are many things in our society. And sometimes devotees are absorbed in management, in construction work, in food distribution, in painting or decorating a temple, in collecting money. And that's okay. We don't hate that. That's part of the society. But Narottam is telling us we want association with devotees who just want to hear Krishna Katha. And they may be collectors by their service. They may be construction devotees. They may be managers, but they want to hear and talk about Krishna. Is that helpful, Krishna Kun?
Well, I guess what I am hearing is that cultivate it internally. Don't try to make an external adjustment. Is that the gist of what you wanted to tell me
Well,
about it?
we're also external persons. And we need to go places and move and do parikrama and carry things and do Vaishnav Seva and different things with our body. That's also required. But to get that kind of association, we have to cultivate internally. And then the external thing will manifest. When we're doing the external thing, we're trying to cultivate the internal thing. Because we're Bahir Mukjanas, we're external. Therefore, we have karma adhikar, and we have to work hard and go do book distribution and go do external things. But we should be trying to cultivate the internal. Is that okay? Think about it. Let me go on with Lila Purushottam
Yeah, I'll let you go on.
and Madhupati Prabhu and Amrita Leela. There's a few hands up here. Leela Purushottam Prabhu, he hides himself as soon as we there he is. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Oh, I think he's having some can we hear you? Can you hear me? We can't hear you at all. So this is proof you have to chant good japa if you want association.
Click on the microphone symbol.
Your Madhupati Prabhu is pointing out. Is your microphone turned on? I think he knows. Okay, Leela Purushottam, I love your comments. You're going to have to either type something in or figure out your technical thing, and we're going to go to Madhupati Brew and come back to you.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can now. You worked it out. Hare Krishna. Go ahead. Oh, but now we lost you. It looks
Only
like,
without video.
yeah, try without video.
Now you can hear me.
Yes.
Yeah, that's problem there.
It's strange. It just doesn't work the way it always works. Now I don't have that microphone icon down there as usually. I'm sorry for confusion. Well, first I wanted to express my happiness to see many devotees joining these discussions. I'm so happy. Well, now you're usually asking if you are burning with a question. So today I'm burning actually.
Okay.
But I don't know. It's so complex for me that I don't know if I'll be able to express myself concisely. Because you've been speaking a lot about that conception, but I'd like to get some guidance on so that I get some usable like framework for my mind and intelligence how to get the proper conception, like because the discussion is obviously how to realize, like we are instructed especially for Raganuga sadhana, we are instructed that Tishtan Braja, we are expected to live in Braja and do our bhajan in Braja. And then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he's explaining that if we can't be there physically, then we are supposed to be there mentally, living there in Braja. And now there is this whole confusion. What does it mean? Like from the one extreme of the scale, just floating on the boat of imagination, and being rather shallow in that conception, to the super strict interpretations that actually until you really get the Dham Spurti, you're not really adhikari for living mentally in the Dham. And I was quite mind blown by that conception that physically creating the Dham around yourself, even outside of the Dham, like in our places, kind of goes to that direction that you can live mentally in the Dham. So that was amazing for me to be in that such a thing can be included in that conception. But actually, the essence of my question would be like, what does constitute the adhikar for even having the hope to endeavor for living in the Dham mentally, living in Vrindavan mentally?
Well, first of all, what is the adhikar? What is our qualification for that? Our qualification is simple. Rupa Goswami says that it's our desire. And according to the strength of our desire, and that desire is something that we get from hearing Hari Katha and associating with devotees. And like behind me, you can see Lord Nrsingadev mask, and you can see Jagannath Baladi Subhadra. And here in our ashram, we put so many different pictures and things up. And why are we doing that? Because we want to be in Vrindavan. We want to think of Krishna constantly. So we may not have, certainly we don't have the qualification to have Leela Spurti and see Radha and Krishna's Nitya Leela and things, but we were trying for that. And therefore having some faith, which comes about by hearing from our acharyas, hearing the kathas and things they said, and therefore our responsibility when we speak Krishna katha is to quote from Prabodhananda Saraswati and from Chaitanya Charitamrita and the Bhagavatam and different literatures and hear their conception and try to bring that conception to our heart. And our adhikar really is measured in terms of how strong our faith is. Jiva Goswami speaks about that in his Bhakti Sundarbha. And what kind of faith do we have and what quality of faith is it? Is it Shastriya Shraddha? Or is it just Lokik Shraddha because everybody says that, therefore it must be true? But we want to have Shastriya Shraddha, we want to have faith which is based on our acharyas, based on Shastra, and that comes by hearing. So we do that, and we must. It's not going to be possible for so many of us to go to Vrindavan. And perhaps one of the lessons we get from the story of, what's his name? Our blind person who gouged out his eyes.
Oh, Bilva Mangal.
Bilvamangal Thakur, perhaps one of the lessons that we get from there is that to go to Vrindavan, we have to give up seeing the material world and just take complete shelter of Krishna. And then, as we see in the case of Bilvamangal Thakur, a young boy took his hand and said, Baba, I'll take you to Vrindavan. And that was
Krishna.
so we want to just give up, as Prabodhananda Saraswati said, there's a negative and there's a positive. And on the positive side, we want to remember Krishna, and we have all of our deities, and we have our pictures and our recordings and videos and things that we want to play and hear, and we want to associate with the devotees. And those things are external, but there's an internal thing which is going on too, and it's affected by the external, because for the most part, we're Bahirmukh, we're external. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada gave us a society, and he wanted everybody to work hard and make buildings and collect money and distribute books and do all these things because we're dealing with the body. It's important for us. But we also have to bring it to the mind and remember what we're doing and what the purpose is. We have to hear. That comes by hearing Krishna Katha from proper sources. Is that helpful, Leela?
It is very much. I would bring in one more thing that I that I hope for, but I'm ready to be rejected as a speculation. Could one think about it as a like same as we are thinking about our progressing in sadhana and going like from the levels to levels, step by step, progressing until one day we'll be able to achieve perfection in our devotion. And in the same way, could we think about this endeavor for living in a dham being realized and practiced in the steps, in the levels. Like initial things would be that we had a chance to visit Vrindavan, and we, so to say, lost our hearts there, and we got some tiny drops of attraction or attachment for dham, and we bring it back to our Guru Datta Deshas, where we are engaged mostly in the service, and we use these drops to cultivate that endeavor to live in the dham, and building up on it like step by step. Is that reasonable thinking like that?
Yeah, although it may not be just step by step. All of a sudden, you may go from first gear to fourth gear. The mercy of Krishna and Vaishnavas.
with the sadhu kripa.
And that's why, some of the sadhak devotees who like to quarrel, that's a symptom of neophyte devotees. They quarrel about whether we should wear dhotis and saris or not. And some devotees say it doesn't matter, Prabhu, what you wear. And of course it doesn't matter. Obviously, what matters is what's in your heart. But then we also have this dhoti and sari thing. And why do we have that? Because we like Vrindavan and we want to be think of Vrindavan and the Bijbasis, and we do that. And some people say, well, Krishna wasn't really wearing a dhoti. I don't know. He was wearing some slacks or a suit and tie. I don't know what he was wearing, but some people say some other things. Or Radharani wasn't. I don't really care. I don't know about all of that. And you may have some fancy answers to that, but we do know what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates were wearing. We do know what Srila Prabhupada was wearing, and we want to enter into that Vrindavan. And that doesn't mean that when we go to work, we have to dress like that or all the time. But that's one reason why we do that. And that's why we keep pictures up and why we want to remember that place. That's the place, that's our goal. It's such an important thing.
Yeah, and probably the symptoms of the progress on that path could be that these more or less external things will be shifting and will be how to say, like molding our internal consciousness, meaning that we will be more focused on like developing the Vrindavan mood on the level of qualities, meaning like our devotion will be selfless and
Anil Prabhu told me such a nice thing today. He was speaking to me about the last lecture that Ayendra Prabhu gave. And in that lecture, Ayendra Prabhu spoke a little strongly. So if anybody gets angry about what I'm about to say, don't blame me. It's Ayendra Prabhu. He's our Prabodhananda Saraswati. This guy is
yes.
So he was speaking. He said, "Yeah, it's so nice. So many devotees come to Brajmandal Parikrama." He said, "But what is this Brajmandal Parikrama they're doing?" He said, "It's a meat.
International Meat Mart.
It's an international meat market."
Meat Mart.
Oh, meat. Okay, MEET. But I was thinking MEAT, which is kind of similar. They're just looking at bodies, they're looking for a husband or a wife,
Yes,
and
yes.
and it's in that sense. There's a non-veg sense, but meeting in another sense, it's a meeting market where, and he was disgusted with that, and that's very beautiful, and I want to learn from him. But it doesn't mean that they should stop Brajmandal Parikrama because the boys and girls want to get along together and whatever. It's necessary. But we need Gorkashodas Babaji, we need Prabodhananda Saraswati, we need persons who are very strong to come and tell us, hey, this is not the proper program. Okay, Leela, is that all right?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Nice to hear your voice. I look forward to singing in a few days. And
I want to say, it was the best, most perfect kata. Not even a full week before we hope to be allowed to step into the dham.
I was meditating on it today too, that this is a good thing for me to hear right now. Thank you.
Thank you, bro.
Hare Krishna. Madhupati Prabhu. Add your smiling face here. Very nice to see you, Prabhu. So you had some comment you want to make? Question?
No, Krishna, just a comment on the involvement with non-devotees around you. Living with a non-devotee is not easy, but it has a huge benefit because it vaccinates you against criticizing devotees. It keeps that, yes, because it keeps alive the fact that the least advanced devotee is way beyond the most advanced karmi because of difference in motivation.
Wow.
So even the highest developed non-devotees who are professors and researchers of sense gratification are not comparable to a very meek, very humble, very simple devotee who has only Krishna service in his or her mind.
Thank you. That's beautiful. I think in an association like that too, it gives us some opportunity to become stronger. And you're thinking of your comments. I was remembering this statement, famous statement by Srila Prabhupada's beloved godbrother and friend, Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, who once said that the environment is always friendly. In other words, whatever situation that we find ourselves in, and it may be with a non-devotee spouse or working with non-devotees or whatever, that paradoxically is favorable. And we may think, oh, it's so bad. I want to be in Vrindavan in the temple with the brahmacharis and be like, but no, this is what's perfect for me.
May I just expand on that?
Yeah, yeah.
So my situation is like the little boy's situation who is walking with his mother on Main Street and they pass a toy shop. Imagine a toy shop with little trains running and cars and whatever, building blocks. And the boy, myself, is just glued to the shop window. And the mother wants to go on and pulling him by the hand. Let's go on, we have business to do. But no, the more she is pulling the boy, the more the boy is glued to the shop window. Understand?
Yeah, we're like that. We want it, we want to seal it. And it gives us some strength of desire. We see a lot of times, which I think is the inverse of what you're indicating, that someone says, yeah, I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to leave my family. And there's a lot of people like that. I'm going to move into the brahmacharya ashram in the temple in Vrindavan, and I'm in the spiritual world and I've got everything. And they're there for 6 months or 1 year or 6 years, and then they leave because their entrance to that place was based on their mental proclivity, their mental endeavor, and it wasn't really arranged by Guru and Krishna. It was something that it's kind of like the story of Keshi, who wants to enter into Vrindavan. He's making a big noise, and Bhaktivinoda says that Keshi, he says, Keshi represents Amibodo Bhakta, O Acharya Abhiman, that I have this Abhiman, this attitude that I'm a big devotee and I can enter into Vrindavan and I can be with the Brij Basis. And Keshi's trying to do that by being a big person. And we see devotees sometimes do that. And wow, they're really big persons, and we're all really impressed. They make a lot of noise. They jump up and down. But then where are they now after a few years? And then you have some other guy who's just like a rotten person. They're just an accountant or something useless, mundane, and they're not with the devotees and they're living outside. And oh my God, they wear Western clothes sometimes, and they have a non-devotee job, and obviously they're in Maya and we want to preach to them and give them our blessing. But that person's still going after so many years. And this is a beautiful quality of bhakti that we can't understand externally who's really a devotee. It's beautiful. Thank you so much for your comments, Madhupati. I'm so happy you're taking part in this Sangha. You really add a lot. Do you want to add anything more? You good? Okay. All right, so let's see here. We've got Amrita Leela, but let me just run over and see about we had Goni Taiprabhu. He made a couple comments. Let me just read those real quick. One of them I already touched on, and his second comment, he's saying that the Vaishnavas are Kripa Sindhu, they're oceans of mercy. We pray for their blessings and patiently serve them. Maybe one moment our desire is fulfilled, or maybe much more wonderful things will happen which maybe we never asked for. You know, I don't think it's necessary for us to be mental or to live in a fantasy, as we were just speaking with Madhupati Prabhu, and try to, I'm so elevated, I'm this, I'm that. Just don't worry about it. Just calm down. It's all right. Just chant Hare Krishna. Do what your guru told you to do. And we're always so many devotees. I'm saying, oh, but there must be something else. And I want to practice Raga Nuga Bhakti. And what does it mean to practice Raga Nuga Bhakti? It means I'm going to put on, some spaceman underwear when I get up. It means I'm going to I'm going to do this thing. Or I'm going to sleep with my head in a certain direction. I don't. They have so many strange ideas what that means to do Raga Nuga Bhakti. Just do what your guru said to do. Just do that thing. And it may be working a job. And Prabhupada told, and Bhaktisiddhanta also had devotees working mundane jobs. Some of them he told to be married and raise families. And that's what they should do. And just be peaceful. But take shelter. As Prabhupada said in that one comment, we should always be hankering and develop an internal desire. As my Guru Maharaj commented in the case of Raghunath Das Goswami, where Lord Nityananda told him, the Bahir Vyavahar, what is it? That on the Bahir Vyavahar, on the external part, you be like an ordinary person, but antarnishta, on the inside, you be very, very fixed. And don't display all your bhakti, but just go on and do what you're supposed to do, and then everything will be good. So that's my comment to Gornitai Prabhu. Amrita Leela Mataji, I'm sorry, your arm must be really sore. Your hand's been up for so long. You have some comments or questions, objections? I hope you're not upset.
Hare Krishna. No, I'm not upset. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for letting me join. I wasn't sure because this is a very advanced book and you're already in the final chapters. But
It's practical too.
yeah, I listened to 5 of the first sessions that you had on this book. And immediately I thought, oh, yeah, I was just thinking about that. So it was I had this question just like yesterday. So it was very relevant from the beginning. And I think it's like Srila Prabhupada's books, that it's there is something for everyone from a complete neophyte to like a Prema Bhakta. So it's relevant for all levels. And yeah, I had 2 things I wanted to share. So first of all, this topic of community. This is very relevant. I was just thinking a few days ago that, well, I don't want to speak for a long time, but I'll try to speak briefly. We've been in Mayapur for 2 years, and the reason we moved here was to find good sadhu sangha. Turns out it's not so easy, even in Mayapur, because it's such a huge place and it takes a lot of time to find your kind of friends and like-minded people. And like we have kirtans every day in Mayapur, so you can go to kirtans every day. But personally, I don't go very often because there is a whole crowd of people that I don't know, and I don't feel like. I mean, I probably should go, but I would prefer a smaller group of people I know. And yeah, I was thinking that maybe it would be much better for me to live not in a holy dham, but if I'm with a community of devotees who really care for each other, who have a personal relationship, and with Krishna in the center, then it would be more beneficial for my spiritual life than being in Mayapur, but kind of a bit isolated and not having real community. So this was what I was thinking, and I strongly believe that people like you should organize their own communities, because we need, I mean, mature devotees who have good spiritual values and who can really build the community based on Krishna Katha and not on some other things. So we need more people like that, starting their maybe small communities everywhere. So you can have your own Vrindavan basically anywhere you go in the world, wherever you are. And so this was the first thing. If you want to comment on that.
Yeah, I would love to. I just recently, I spent some time on Facebook. It's my confession. I don't post a whole lot there because I really, it hurts my heart, the kind of discussions I see there, the kind of posturing, is in English, people trying to present themselves and push themselves forward, and the kind of anger and rhetoric and things, it disturbs me. But there's also some nice things sometimes. And recently, I came across some group who are community oriented, and they're 'cause I'm really into this community thing, and they're speaking about it in the same kind of way that I do in certain ways. I did not about chanting the holy name and that, but about creating like-minded community and things. And that's really, so I was kind of interested to see what they're doing, and so I kind of tagged into some of their things, and it's good. But their idea of community is that you want to find a group of people who don't trust the schools and don't trust the government and don't trust the big businesses and
And
who,
hospitals.
yeah, hospitals, and want to be off the grid and be self-sufficient. And that's really cool. And I'm all those things. And I think probably most devotees are pretty much all of those things. Some of them like hospitals, some of them work in hospitals, some of them like big businesses, but generally devotees are more or less like that. And I thought to myself that that doesn't sound very attractive to me, their presentation of community, and I want something more. And in regards to your comment, I really appreciated that sometimes we feel a little guilty. I kind of got that sense from your comments that there's kirtans going all around me and I should go. That's what you said. I should go, but I'm not. I don't feel inspired. And I find it very interesting that you're not inspired to go to that. And to go to all those kirtans and things. We all want intimate sangha just by nature. The jiva soul wants that. But sometimes we compromise with that voice very deep inside of us. And we say, it's just not possible. You know, I shouldn't hanker for that. And I should just be satisfied with whatever I've gotten. And I'll just go to all the kirtans and I'll do all this thing. And initially, that's not bad. And Jiva Goswami speaks about this in Bhakti Sundarbha. Initially, he said, we hear from many people, like in the temple. The Bhagavatam class, it's a different speaker every day, and we hear from many people. And by that hearing, Prabhupada wanted that we all come together and we create something of a community. But for a lot of devotees, and this is what I'm hearing from you, and I hear from a lot of the people in this group too, we're not completely satisfied with that. We want Swajatiya Sangha. We want like-minded association, devotees who have a similar mood and things. And then sometimes, as you were kind of indicating, we compromise that desire. And we say, well, anyway, I'm just in Maya. I don't want to be a Sahajya. I'll just go with a group of devotees and just do what everybody else is doing. And then we settle for something less. And tragically, what happens is, I see so often, we cut out part of our heart. We cut out part of that beautiful vision, part of that beautiful excitement that's there when we first join. that vision that, wow, this is going to be a spiritual community in a spiritual world, and I can see Krishna, maybe the deity will speak to me, and we'll see devotees with prem bhakti and things. And then this voice says, that's not possible. And you should just shut up, and that's Mayavad, or that's that's Sahaja or whatever, and you should just accept the reality and go along and not be a troublemaker and just go along and go to the kirtans and things. And when we do that, sometimes we kind of force ourselves, we just repress, we push down that little voice in our heart that really I'm not satisfied. I want to be with more intimate Sangha. And we repress that voice, and we cut it out. We do a lobotomy, and we cut out part of our heart. And then what happens is we cut out part of our own sincerity. We cut out part of our hope. Hope is a very beautiful thing. And this is the path of hope. We have the greatest hope that I may get the greatest thing. And if we just say it's just not possible, and you just have to go along with the whole crowd and everybody, that's not very satisfying. At the same time, I think it's also important, very important, to keep the Jagannath Mandir in terms of organized religion, and we go and show my face, and I want to support what Srila Prabhupada's doing, and the Bhakti program, and the book distribution, and the Christmas marathon, the Prabhupada marathon, and all those things. I want to support all that. But now I'm honest, I don't feel satisfied. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. I do not feel satisfied. And I want what I hear that Narottam Das Thakur had. I want what I hear, what other great devotees have, and I'm hankering for that, and I'm not going to be satisfied with anything less than that. And that hope, that we want to keep that alive in our hearts. It's a very, very important thing. And it's amazing. Durgata Gatana Vidatri, Rupa Goswami writes in one song, Krishna can make, it's impossible, Durgata, but Gatana Vidatri, Krishna can easily make it possible. He can send the most wonderful association, and it may come in ways that we don't expect. It may not be according to like Chaitanya Charitamrita, where we see this advanced devotee coming and they're doing this. It may be in a dream, it may be in some inspiration. We may find that we can be satisfied with our family or with some smaller group of devotees. But generally, for me, I like this like-minded association. I don't want to go on too much longer, but let me just mention one thing. I had an interesting experience the last month or so. For 1 month, I traveled with a beautiful group of very eccentric, very individualistic devotees in the form of Indradyumna Maharaj's yatra. And it was great. And there's a lot of mad people there. And I like mad people, not because I want to be mad or because I like tattoos or I like eccentric people. I don't really care about that. But I like it that people can be who they are, and they're not forced to coerce. And it's a beautiful Sangha like that. And I liked that Sangha because it wasn't institutional, it wasn't forced. It was very, very sweet. It was all based on Krishna Katha and things. I really liked it. But at the same time, I have to be honest, and I would say this with straw in my teeth to Indradyumna Maharaj, I wasn't completely satisfied either, because it was 350 devotees. It was like, oh my God. It was very difficult, and I didn't feel comfortable with everybody. We didn't merge it. So a few days after they left here in Puri, we had another group, which was about 15, 20 devotees from Uzbekistan. And in that group, I also didn't know everybody. I only knew 3 or 4 devotees. But that Sangha was so much more sweet. And my realization walking away from all of that is that I want to serve the big ISKCON program, and I'll speak on the stage at some ISKCON program in front of 10,000 people. I've done it before, and try to say something. But I also like more intimate sanghas like Indradyumna Maharaj's. But I'd like even more intimate sanghas than that, with maybe 15 or 20 devotees. And we were able to go to many places that we couldn't go with the big group, just because physically we couldn't fit with so many devotees. And so aside from that, we want to cultivate our Sangha. So I'm going to stop there. You had something more you wanted to go on to, Amrita Leela? Great
Thank
comments.
you. Thank you for making me feel better. It's not the main reason I came here, so that to feel better, but in a way, it reminded me of another way that you made me feel better. It was very funny. A few months ago, I think it was the rainy season, I was feeling a bit depressed. And I started watching some YouTube videos about how to build a house, etc. And I was feeling guilty about that. But then I went on your YouTube channel looking for these classes to download, and I saw the whole playlist with videos like that. And there are quite a few that I also watched. So I thought, okay, I'm not so crazy. Or it's not complete Maya.
I like that. So because for me, as a person, I'll confess something. I'm ferociously individual. From high school and before that, I don't like being part of the group. I like to be my own self. But at the same time, I'm not against the big thing, and I understand and appreciate the necessity, utility of it, of the Jagannath Mandir and the huge crowds and groups and things. It's necessary, but I want to be who I am. I want to be allowed the dignity to be myself. And I'd like to have other people have the same dignity. And that's one of the things I saw in Indra Maharaj's Yatra. So many different types of persons. Okay? Did you want to make some other comments?
Yeah, just about the verses that you were. I'm sorry for taking so long. Just a few days ago, I remembered a verse or just a vague statement by one of the acharyas, and maybe you could help me place it. Someone said that Vrijavasi's Prajalpa is much sweeter than anything else you can hear. So I'd much rather listen to that than any of the like other devotional or scholarly talks, something like that. I think it's probably Raghunath Das Goswami, but I'm not sure. And I remember first time I heard it, I was like, yeah, I mean, it's a nice sentiment, but Prajalpa is Prajalpa, I'm sorry. And then a few days ago, we were reading Bhagavad Gita, and I suddenly realized that now I understand what it means, because a Krishna conscious person, like Srila Prabhupada, whatever he speaks about, even if it sounds something material, it's always about Krishna because he is very Krishna conscious. So if somebody really loves Krishna, then they never speak about anything else, even if externally it sounds like some nonsense. So I think it's quite similar to the quotes you were reading today, this kind of statement.
For such a person, they may become completely absorbed in accounting. Accounting is like my worst subject in the world. You can ask Madhupati Prabhu. He's my accounting guru. He was trying to be, but I failed. I failed as a disciple. But some person may have a passion for accounting. I can't understand that. I have to confess, but that's their service. And for that, that's the most important thing. And they're just in love with doing that particular thing. Or they may like to know about self-sufficiency and building houses and doing this and that because they want to, they see that independence as being helpful for their bhakti. But so as you're saying, Prabhupada, he may speak mundane things, but it's not mundane. And those things are not necessarily mundane. That someone who's interested in accounting or someone's interested in self-sufficiency, if their desire is for bhakti. They're doing accounting nicely because it's so important. We need good accounting in our society. We have to. If everybody was like me, it would be useless. And we need good self-sufficiency. It's important. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amrita Leela. I really appreciate your presence here. Okay, Orsi, we're going overtime right now. I didn't want to put everybody's subjecting to that. Can we be a little quick?
Yes, thank you, Hare Krishna. I have a slightly off topic, but hopefully. Well, so I was realized yesterday that I do not understand. It's not surprising because it's a high topic that in the embankment of the separation, in the first pages, there was an emphasis on the mood, how we are chanting. And there was a quote from Srila Prabhupada. He said or wrote that we should have both the feeling of separation, and it's also a indicator of the process that we were processing, if there is more separation in that feeling, of course. But taking into account what you mentioned about the kirtan of our sampradaya, the picture is in front of me while Radharani is under the Kadamba tree and asking for the Shakis to sing Krishna's name because of the feeling of separation and the pain of that. And I was thinking, like when we are offering our chanting to Guru and Gauranga, when we are starting chanting, previously I was in that consciousness or awareness that I'm chanting for their pleasure, but to release this, decrease this pain of separation. But just yesterday I realized that if however I understand that the mantra reveals itself, so I cannot control this, but still there is at least an apparent contradiction in my mind currently, that what is the appropriate mood in this regard. It is clear, my question?
I think so.
Okay.
About, we hear sometimes about Radharani's intimate moods, and that song that my grandma sang about Radharani sitting under the Kadamba tree and Sakis around her and Radharani wanting to die and things. And we can go running there and we can say, Radharani, here I am, and I want to do kirtan for your pleasure, and I want to try to facilitate that. But my vision, if I go running for that, so that sangha, they're going to look at me, and who is this disgusting creature? And what are you doing? Who invited him? And they may say, go away, because I have some sentiment. I have some mental picture about how it's like this or this, but I can't really enter into that. And so, but at the same time, we want to hear about it. But we want to hear about it, and by hearing about it, it helps us to have our goal. It helps us to understand something of that mood, but simultaneously we have to cultivate our chanting. And by that chanting is a kind of channel that through the holy name, through Guru and our parampara, that Krishna sends mercy. And by dint of that mercy coming through the channel of the holy name, then those things will come to our heart, and we'll understand those feelings. And it won't just be intellectual. In the beginning, it may be intellectual, and that's okay. Intellectual understanding is not condemned. That's just where we're at. And it's much better than just being interested in sex, drugs, and rock and roll. The people in the West or something. We want to have some understanding of it, but we want to move practically, and that practical thing comes through service to Guru and the Vaishnavas, and especially by chanting the holy names. We'll cultivate that. Does that help, Orsi? Does that answer your question, kind of? Maybe not.
Honestly, not, because I still do not understand. I understand that it is the service to Guru, and it's not enough to reach out Srimati Radharani, even Gauranga Mahaprabhu. It's nothing. But still, intellectually, of course. So I'm talking now from my intellectual part, and it's very dull. I'm sorry on that. And at the same time, I understand that it is revealing itself what you are talking now. But still, my intellectual part is somewhere stuck there in the mud and cannot cope with that. Yes. So just offer generally to you and Gauranga Mahaprabhu, I don't know.
The last comments you made, I didn't catch the last sentence or two. Try again.
So if you would give me some practical guidance that when I'm starting, what would be the best, how to say, mood of chanting for the pleasure of Guru.
We should take shelter of it. And we take shelter of it also by not fantasizing or by not trying to do things that we're not qualified for. In Vrindavan, there's a wonderful Vaishnavi named Srimati Mataji, who's really, wow, she was chanting 3 lakhs a day for many years. She's lived in the Gambhira, she's lived in Siddhabakul, she lived at Radhakund for a long time. She's a very, very amazing person. She's so dedicated to Prabhupada. And she's always commenting that there's so many devotees who think, oh, I have to chant more rounds, or I have to do this thing or that thing, and then I'm going to get it. And she said, no, that's our imagination. What we need to do is we follow what Guru gives. And I find very few people who are really taking shelter, for example, what Prabhupada gave. Let me chant 16 rounds. Let me do book distribution. Let me go to the morning program. Let me do this morning sadhana. Let me do these things. And who are deeply taking shelter of this. Sometimes we think, oh, that's for the Bhakti program. That's for the new people. Keep them engaged. And of course it is. But it's not just for them. And so whatever instruction we may have gotten, and Guru may tell them to do accounting, as we're saying, or Guru may say you be a manager for the temple, or you do book distribution, whatever, and we take shelter of that deeply, and that's our whole life, that instruction, and then we don't have to think, oh, am I doing something wrong? Is there something lacking in me? Why I don't see Krishna? Why I'm not having ecstatic symptoms? There must be something wrong. And some devotees, they think, oh, therefore, I need to add something more. I'll add some external smarana, or I'll do this thing or that thing. But if we really go deep in what Srila Prabhupada gave us, then that smarana will naturally rise. I've been doing a lot of reading over the last year or so from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, our Srila Prabhupada, and other acharyas as Bhaktivinoda and Gorkishore Babaji and others about our process of Raganuga Bhakti, our process of Smarana. And again, it's a beautiful conversation here in Jagannath Puri. I was reading last night from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. He said, we don't cultivate Smarana separately, but we just chant the holy name very, very deeply. And we hear Krishna Katha, and then that Smarana will come naturally. Because just as we're hearing about Vrindavan Dham is self-manifest. And that it'll manifest in its heart on its own. It's not something that I'm going to decide. Yes, I'm going to and I'm going to sit down. And someone was telling me they're doing Manasa Parikrama of Govardhan. And that's cool. That's a lot better than reading the news or something. And they're thinking about Manasi Ganga, and they're thinking about Hadidev Temple, and they're walking on the road and this and this. That's beautiful. That's a nice thing. But it may also be just some speculation. And then the things that are coming. Bhakti is self-manifest, it's swarat, it's independent. So if we follow Guru and Krishna, we just do what they've given us to do, I have full confidence everything will come. My Guru Maharaj commented, he said, I've only ever chanted 16 rounds. I never chanted more than that. I haven't chanted any other special mantras or anything. He said, but from those 16 rounds, he commented like this privately once, I've realized my Swarup and the Swarup of my spiritual master. I've gotten everything from that. I believe that. That's our system. Now, maybe, and I'm not against Smarana, I'm not against someone doing meditation or this or that. Manasa Parikrama of Giriraj, Krishna Kun has some comment about that. I'm not against those things. Oh, that's great. But Krishna will send that. He'll send that at a certain point. And we see it in our movement. There's a lot of persons who are getting that thing. If we take shelter of the things that we've been given, then it'll come. It'll come in a natural way. Krishna Kun comments that Manasa Prikrama of Govardhan is something that His Holiness Radha Govinda Maharaj gave to at least one particular disciple. Not for everyone, but if Gurudev says, yes. And so that my comment on that would be that someone was following certain things from Guru, chanting and this, and then at a certain point, Guru saw they need more, they need this thing, and they're given that thing. Or maybe they'll be given it by some other Siksha guru or some different source, but it'll come and we'll know in our heart that it's right. What I'm not impressed with is when devotees speculate, neither they speculate, I'm so bad, I'm so evil, I can't do anything, and therefore I just got to like sit in the dungeon of, and their sadhana becomes a kind of dungeon where they lock themselves up in self-pity and moroseness, and they can't think of anything higher. I'm just going to only read the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita every day and chant, the minimum number of rounds and whatever. That's there, but better we don't abuse ourselves like that. We have some hope in the heart and just take shelter, and Krishna he'll send some inspiration. I believe in that. That's our movement. There has to be some mystical thing there. There has to be some hope that the impossible can happen. That's the Hare Krishna movement. That's what Jamuna used to call the Krishna magic. It's a very, very important thing. Okay, so we've gone quite a
Thank
bit
you.
over time, and I have some things to do tonight. Thank you so much, Orsi. Great comments, and everybody's so nice to have Sangha. Anil Prabhu has a final comment here. Let's put on Anil. Not too long, please.
Just like Prabhuji mentioned, first of all, my pranams to all the devotees. Hare Krishna. Prabhuji mentioned about uh, this loneliness thing, being alone in the group and all that. So like few years back or maybe few months back, I read and heard about the concept, and I don't exactly remember where I heard and read, but the thing was that there's a the person was differentiating between loneliness and solitude. So I just felt like just expressing this because a lot of people don't connect with the loneliness. It is depressive. Yeah, it feels depressive. But when you say solitude, they accept it because solitude is something which you create and you're comfortable with, and it helps you to like it facilitate you for a certain things. For example, I'm a person, I like to have my personal space. Just like Prabhuji said, I'm ferociously individual. So I say that I'm like a headstrong individual. That's my statement. That's I'm a headstrong individual. I like to be in my space and I don't like to be invaded by others. But at the same time, I like serving devotees. I like going around with the devotees. Yes, we went to the parikrama, and I was there at the grand finale of the parikrama with Indradum Maharaj. That was wonderful. We saw a lot of crazy people there dancing like madman. And my goodness, that thing was wow. And we were discussing after that. A man, so I'm sorry, one devotee, he looked like he was from the Uganda. So like he was dancing with a kind of a robe in front of him, which looked like a sari. So that was his personal space, his space where he's comfortable and he can be himself. So at the same time, there was a lot of devotees around who were looking for their in their particular space. They were feeling not very comfortable there. They were there with the group because it's a good thing. The Maharaj is there, so many devotees are there, a big sangha is there, you get to see a lot of people. But when you come home, yeah, it feels better. You are in your own space, you have with couple of like few devotees, and next we went to the parikrama with like 15-20 devotees. I was with there. That was definitely sweeter than the big group. Yeah, big group. One of our temple president from Delhi, from east of Kailash, Mohan Rupal Prabhu, once he said that, this Radhika Raman is a small temple, it's sweet. So, and he said his temple is a big temple, and the big temple becomes kind of impersonal. So the big groups, yes, at times they feel like impersonal. You get lost in the like sea of the devotees, you feel lost. But when you come to a smaller sangha, it is sweeter. So both things are like Prabhuji said, they are, different, different side of the coin. You have to have that also and that also. Like we will support the book distribution, we will support the lecture. He will go and take lecture for 10,000 people, and he loves to go with the 10 people. So yeah, so that's I just wanted to say this solitude over the loneliness, may some may like feel more connected, more comfortable with the solitude. That's being solitary is different than being loneliness. In general, the loneliness may like connected to like being left out and being alone, and when no one cares about you. But yeah, so this was it.
Beautiful.
I hope this makes some
I
sense
think
to.
everybody liked that a lot. There's a lot of comments on it. Amrita Leela saying that she lives with some of those crazy people. She might be one of those crazy persons too. I don't know. Leela Purushottam Babu says there's great importance to loneliness turned into taking exclusive shelter, not just solitude. And Gorni Tai Prabhu has commented some about their philosophy that if we don't have this greed, then we practice Vaidhi Bhakti, and then until Bhav attains, and when we have some good association, then that will help us a lot. It'll make
Yes.
it much quicker
Can I
for us.
just last thing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
after having darshan, I just came back from Jagannath temple. So after having darshan, I went through the big queues and then entered the main chamber over there. And there was a lot of people were there. I was just being crushed between the crowd. So I was trying to pray there, and it was not happening. So when finally I came out, and I was just out to from the Singadwar, from the Lions Gate, I was about to go out, and there you see Patit Pavan, and there had I moment. There I had my moment which I wanted. There some people were there, yes, but I was just face to face with the Patit Pavan, and I did my prayers over there, and that was my moment with Jagannath.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and stop there. So thank you all so much. And next week we're going to be in Vrindavan. I think maybe Anil Prabhu may be with me to chastise me and guard me also. And we're looking forward to seeing everybody. Hey, Krishna Kun, I read some of your comments. I think we need to get you a new computer. We can talk about that. Sorry. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki, Samaveda Bhakta Binda ki, Go Premanandi Hari Hari Bo, Vansha Kalpa Durubhischa, Kripa Sindhu Bhyaeva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo.